What is going on, guys? Welcome to the Wednesday night live stream. Tonight we have Oral Seymour and Greg. How you guys doing today?
Excellent, man.
Good. Excellent.
Excellent. So some exciting industry news has been happening. Lots of, I guess, companies joining forces to an extent. So pretty crazy. And I saw a bazillion different posts and different things on it. So I figured it'd be kind of a fun topic for tonight. So yeah.
Absolutely.
I think so. So I think there's a lot of cool stuff that's coming for the industry. I've seen lots of people being like, oh no, the world's ending. But really, I mean, companies get bought, change hands all the time. At the end of the day, these are all companies that are trying to improve the hobby, trying to bring more stuff. So I think there's a lot of good stuff that's going to come out of this. So I figured it'd be some good, interesting conversation.
For sure.
Yeah. So what do you guys think? What's initial thoughts about, a lot of the big players starting to join forces?
Well, I guess I'll start. My initial thoughts are I don't see much changing for us as hobbyists. The majority of us, not me and you, Dev, and maybe didn't know the owners of Ecotech. So it doesn't matter to them who owns the company, as long as the company continues on with what they're doing. And everything that I have seen coming out of this conglomerate has been nothing but wanting to expand the hobby. So I don't think they're just going to they're going after the short term thing. This is the long term, and they're going to expand the hobby. That's what they're there for.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's definitely going to be a good thing. I mean, at the end of the day, these are all companies selling reefing products, and they want to improve the hobby, expand the hobby, make people more successful, because if you're a successful reefer, you're eventually going to get more products, you can upgrade, you're going to be more invested in the hobby, which is kind of good for everybody, right? The more scale of the hobby, the better deals we'll get down the road, right? And one thing I was thinking, too, with, Ecotech and Neptune now, since they're, essentially going to be like sister companies, there's likely going to be a lot more integration of stuff in the future, which is kind of a win-win for everybody. So I thought it was pretty cool.
It is. And it also may be they may offer integration with other controllers as well, like GHL. And the fact that they'll if they open up the architecture, they'll probably open it up to other companies as well.
Yeah.
So,
they'll use open in the true sense of the word, not not what open was before.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think you still have to control the open portion of it, just simply so that nothing malicious happens. but I would like to see them become more open. But at the same point, they could remain closed and only open to products in their family.
Mm-hmm.
So it could go either way. I just don't know.
Yeah.
So I spoke to both of you earlier today, and I think the topic came up in, hey, what happened when Ecotech and AI joined forces? And just for my own edification, I went and looked at what the sentiment was on Reef Central when that happened. And yeah, the sky was falling then too.
Yep.
And it's still falling now.
I find it funny when people always freak out about it, but at the end of the day, the majority of people will not notice any difference whatsoever. But hopefully, a lot more cool things from here. So,
yeah, the reason I buy Ecotech products is because they're reliable.
Mm-hmm.
Support, they're in Pennsylvania. I'm in New York. Between the hours of 9 to 5 Eastern, I can call someone and talk to someone. Which is good for me. I buy products and maybe, I don't use them for a few months, or the other day messing with my Radions and I got a blinking light. And because I was able to just call the support number and someone walked me through the steps of resetting the light.
Mm-hmm.
And so the reason I buy Ecotech products hasn't changed. Reliability and support. That's I always say that's where I am in my life now. Like I'll buy products that cause me the least amount of hassle because family, kids, work, that's what I want. So the reason I buy Ecotech or any other product hasn't changed.
Yeah. Did not read. Yeah. So, okay. So did not read. Okay. So another thing I keep seeing people like, oh no, all the prices are gonna go up, blah blah blah. So I just want to throw this one out there because I work in tech and the prices of absolutely everything tech has gone up. So I don't think any of these mergers, anything has to do with pricing. Just with like COVID, everything else, there's, shortages of all the raw materials, all the chips and components that build these things, as well as shipping costs is like nuts right now. So likely everything across the board is going to get a bit of a price jump. It's nothing to do with any of this mergers or sister companies or any of the other stuff. But I have seen that posted a lot, so I figured that's a good point.
I kind of look at it like this.
Mm-hmm.
The only companies whose prices are probably going to remain the same for the meantime are companies that aren't selling much.
Yeah.
In comparison. But when you're dealing with the volume that both of these companies do, there's supply chain issues.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be supply chain issues. And, they're going to run out of products. I mean, I was blown away by the number of verses that Ecotech is making a week, just simply because of supply chain issues.
Mm-hmm.
I would have never imagined it was so low.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say the specific number, but it's really, really low.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. We are a tiny industry.
We are.
If you have the auto industry, and someone just mentioned it, Kyle Jameson just mentioned it, if the auto industry cannot get chips for cars, which are, what is it, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 products, then yeah.
Lights and pumps and everything else are probably not as high on the list. But I mean,
nope.
It's everything, right? It's not just our hobby.
Yeah.
So
there was announced a price increase for Ecotech products, I think maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then
July.
And then there was also one announced for Neptune products just recently. And Neptune probably would have come earlier. I know when I was talking to Terrence, he had told me it's got to happen.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, we can't, the price keeps going up on all the products. We can't maintain that. So they recently announced that their prices were going up. Yep. I mean, they tried to hold off as long as they could, but freight is not changing. It's still staying high. As long as there's not a lot of commercial flights going from country to country and shipping containers going from country to country, prices are going to remain high.
Yep. Exactly.
And the raw materials too. I mean, it's a snowball effect at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Now, another consideration, this is probably long-term, not short-term, but if you look at, for freshwater, a lot of products that are made, because freshwater is much bigger than saltwater, right? But if you look at the economy of scale, like some of these massive companies, you can actually get even better deals because they're producing more. So AKA our hobby growing more likely is eventually going to translate to better deals on products because there's economy of scale as the hobby grows.
Think about prices were before COVID, like prices, like remember the Nero 5 when it came out, it was $299 or something like that. It was almost like we were wondering like where it fits, and eventually dropped over the next 2 years to $199. Mm-hmm. Now with the price increase that happened in July, it went back up. But like Ecotech was making an effort to like bring the prices, make some of that stuff more, affordable. Brought the price down when they came out with that AI Soul, like that was an under $200, like good, solid reef light. So, because of, I think you're going to see it. I agree with everything you guys said. I think we'll see more companies like bump up prices just for regular consumer. Shipping is
nuts.
Yeah. That's a good word.
There's another thing that, in conversation with Ryan over the years, a lot of people don't understand how much begging and battling with companies he had to do to be able to do these big sales that he was doing because of MAP. Because the bottom line is, all of these companies, all your local fish stores and everything, the only reason those products were on sale is because Ryan wanted to do a sale, and they have to do it for everyone if they allow it. So, Ryan taking two companies who have pretty hardline map prices, now with them being all under the same umbrella, I'm sure you're going to see more opportunities for sales on these products. And of course, those sales will be across the board nationwide. It won't be just BRS getting to put it on sale and the other guys not. They'll do it for everybody. Because, the bottom line is, it's really tough, I think, when you're in retail and you have a huge supply of one particular product, and you may want to put that on sale, and the company says, no, we're not doing a sale. It's like, how do I liquidate, and free up some space, on my shelves? So I think we're gonna see more opportunities for sales. So even though the price has gone up, the end user, I think, will have more opportunities to get those products at a discount.
No, I think so. Okay, couple things from the chat. John Reefer, Vermont. To me, it seems like the top hitters are joining forces. I love BRS. I think Ecotech makes the best pumps, and Neptune has some great potential after losing some ground in the past few years. So, okay. So from this, it is like Bertram is an investment company, right? They're like, okay, saltwater tanks. This is it's a luxury hobby. There's obviously money in this hobby, and it's good investment. So obviously they're going to go for kind of like the top performing companies, the best, biggest companies, because that makes sense from an investment standpoint. So definitely, and I would agree, those are all the top tier companies that they went for, which makes sense, right? If you're going to invest in someone, you're going to go for, who's the best of the best, who's has a long-term established client base and has been in the industry a long time, who's making it better, constantly improving. So it makes sense that those are the main ones they go for. And then Raugi Gaming. I don't understand why some people think there's no competition now. Can you guys talk about that? There's tons of competition. There is, and there always will be. I don't get that either.
Yeah, the whole goal with the whole Bertram thing, I think they understand. It's not about them selling their particular products and whatnot. It's about increasing the size of this hobby. That's where they're going to profit. Yeah. They're going to profit if the hobby grows, and they're going to profit if more people stay in the hobby longer. Yeah. Because that's the only, noobs don't get into this hobby and say, oh, I'm going to buy Apex and Radions and Vortec pumps. They don't do that.
That's a couple tanks in.
Right. So so they need to keep people there, which is, Ryan, and his goal was absolutely to educate people in this hobby. And then you got companies like Neptune Systems who have controllers. They make reefing easier in some cases, and provide you with a little automation. You got Ecotech, who is known for high quality products as well. It's a win-win. It's kind of like, if they grow this hobby, a rising tide raises all ships.
I agree, for sure.
It's going to help everyone all across the board, not just the companies under their umbrella. It's going to help everybody in this hobby, the more people that are in this hobby.
No, agreed. The more the better, like personally, right? Because the more it grows there's more people growing coral, especially if you can't get coral in the ocean. If there's double the reefers growing coral and being successful at it, there's double the coral going around, right? So, there's benefits across the board. So I think everyone wins, right, when the hobby grows.
I just want to talk about one, and I've spoken to Greg about this, just in terms of search. If you think about it, for most people researching a product, looking for a product, Marine Depot and BRS was number 1 and 2 for pretty much everything. You search for a protein skimmer or Radion Light, they were number 1 and 2, and then everyone else was below that. Now, and in Google, I hope I'm not getting too technical for people, but clicks are on scale, like number one will get 30%, number two 15, and it goes under. By BRS and Marine Depot combining, they're probably ranked number one for everything. But then whoever was number three moves up to number two and gets more clicks. Whoever was number four moves up to number three and gets more clicks. So yes, BRS is probably ranking number one for pretty much every product you sell.
Mm-hmm.
But people like Saltwater Aquarium and other brands moved up one spot and probably also saw increased clicks from everything. So that's just one thing where you're like, hey, you know, everybody got like a secondary benefit from, you know,
Absolutely.
from
Yeah.
everything, like paid search, like, you know, like little things like that. Just, you know, just goes into right what you said, like everybody benefited a little bit by just those two websites, like combining together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so true. And the part I'm kind of excited for is knowing a bunch of capital money is pouring into these companies means they're going to have a lot more resources to make more cool stuff. And that's the part that excites me, right? Because, you know, there's probably a slew of projects that are on the sidelines that they haven't had the resources or the time to deal with that will get more attention now. So I think there's going to be a lot of cool new reefing gear coming out in the next couple of years because of this. That's the part that excites me because I think you're joking.
Well, I'm excited for that as well. I mean, I think if everyone here thinks that the next Apex isn't coming out soon, they are not reading the writing on the wall. So, you know, I know that's already in the works, just based on the fact that, you know, the lights had Bluetooth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, you know, there's something brewing and it's coming soon. You know, the Apex is 5 years old already, going on 6.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really getting close. So I expect within the next 2 years, we'll have a new product release of a brand new Apex. You know, we still are awaiting the Ecotech Mobius controller.
Yep, that's got to be coming.
Yeah,
Probably sooner now.
Probably sooner now. Hopefully sooner now.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Yeah, and I love the competition. I love what you guys said about the sales. Like, as a consumer, I can't wait for that.
Heck
you know,
Yeah.
I can't wait for everyone having to up their game for, you know, like, yeah. Yeah.
Friendly competition's good. And when companies are working together and stuff's more integrated, that's also a big benefit to the hobby, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
No, all kinds of exciting stuff, eh? One of the comments, I was laughing. Same thing, Pepsi and Coca-Cola who own a ton of sub-brands. But nothing happens, but when it's the reefing hobby, everyone thinks it's bad. Like, it's definitely some good stuff coming. I'm sure.
Yeah, but there is a problem with those sub-brands is that when grocery stores have a sale, you have to know who owns what to make sure you're getting the right combination to be able to get the sale price. You know, because you can't get like if it's 3 for $10, you can't get 2 Pepsi and 1 Coke. You know, if it's Pepsi that's having the sale. So
fair point.
You know,
man, Greg, you sound that happens. Why does that happen all the time to everyone?
Yeah.
You know,
but I wanted this. You know,
well,
so I like Pepsi, but then I like this from Coke, and then I like Pepsi's ginger. You know, it's just
I know.
Yeah.
But like at the end of the day, like if you're buying a product, you're buying it because it's a good product. Do you really care who owns the company that you're buying it from? All you care about is a good product, and they're going to stand behind it. Like, to me, that makes me happy.
Exactly.
Like, I've met the owners of Ecotech, awesome guys, so definitely like them. But aside from that, any other company, you're just like, oh, yeah. Right? It's a good product, you can stand behind it. That's personally, on the consumer side of things, that's what I would more care about.
Yeah, for sure.
You betcha. What else we got here? DC Reefer, all in on the Ecotech Mobius controller. Yeah, we'll see. That's got to be coming one of these days. Mobius is slowly growing more and more and more. So I like it.
I know, I really do like it. Like, I can't wait to have like my AI stuff on Mobius too. I think there was a demo. We saw some stuff in it.
Was there in the beta testing?
Yes, it was. I actually think I know a few people. I don't know since when, but even Woody like took a long time to like update his app because he still wanted. And I think they've hinted that it's coming soon. But
Probably will.
yeah, I mean I like it. I do like it.
Yeah.
Really like Mobius and the potential for it.
And those are the kinds of things that can be sped up. In this whole development and that money can bring more, they can get more engineers on and whatnot. I mean, there's just so much more they can do now to increase development of those products.
Exactly. And then just the one other point I was thinking of earlier, just reading all the random comments and posts from people. At the end of the day, it is Bertram is investing in all these, right? So
yes.
It's not one company's buying the other. They're basically all kind of like sister companies in a way.
Yes.
So it's not like BRS bought everybody. It's Bertram, parent company, got all the sub companies. So now they're all playing together because they're under the same parent company.
Right.
So that's one thing to consider. Now, if you think about it, an investment company that's putting money into this, they're not, I'm assuming, unless the CEO is a hardcore reefer, but I'm assuming they're not hardcore reefers, and they're going to want the people that have built these companies and continue to grow it to still run it and manage it. So in my view, nothing is really changing there, because if I'm investing in a company that I have no idea about, I'm going to want the people that are building it to kind of keep managing it and keep it on the right track, right? I'm buying it as like an investment. So I don't really think much is going to change for a lot of these companies, except there's likely going to be a lot more collaboration and hopefully a lot more R&D going into some new cool stuff. That's my personal thoughts, but
absolutely. We saw a picture on Ryan's Instagram of Kurt, with Neptune Systems wearing an Ecotech hat.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still going to be there. They're still going to be pointing the company in the right direction. Kurt is, he's older. I mean, he's been in this business for so long. But when I went to when I went to Neptune Systems, there was like 15, 20 engineers in that huge room working on different projects and so forth. So it's not Kurt doing all the work anymore. He can leave. The guys there's so many engineers there, they know what they're doing and they can continue to innovate even if he does leave. But he's still there at the moment. So, yeah, I think that's going to be that way for a while now.
I think so. So, yeah, I don't know. I just saw so many posts on this. I figured it's a good one to address. But I think there's a lot of potential that will come out of this, which will be win-win for everyone in the hobby.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. What else you got? Any other good thoughts around all this fun?
Well, I mean, I think in the end, all we really care about is that the innovation continues.
Yeah,
I agree. I mean, especially us that are gearheads. We want to see all the new gear and whatnot, and we want to see them keep innovating.
Yeah.
The good thing now is that Ryan is playing a big part in the whole Bertram thing, and he's an ear. So, feel free to make comments and things. Ryan he may not respond, but when a bunch of people start asking for the same type things, he's going to push for those things to happen.
More sales.
I mean,
more sales.
For instance, the Elmo. Everybody wanted the Elmo. I mean, he sold out of them in a day.
Yeah.
And then he went to Terrence and I need more. And they're like, yeah, no, we don't want to do that.
He's like, look at the sales potential. Why not?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and that was such a good product, and it was so expensive for older users to upgrade that a lot of people, like even Terrence said, it was like a lot of people used it to upgrade.
Yeah, makes sense.
But that to me, that would have been an opportunity. Like, hey, you have a lot of people on your older platform that, because your modules and everything work, they just want to upgrade. So, yeah, I snagged a couple of those for a couple friends of mine. But man, that was
But that Elmo, just like you said, they wanted to upgrade. They upgrade their head unit. Sure, they may not have upgraded and got an 832 also, but they upgraded their head unit, which then allowed them to buy a Trident.
Mm-hmm.
Which they couldn't do before with the old, as we call it, the Apex Classic. If they had that.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, you know what, Greg? You just had me thinking like a Trident plus an Elmo. That's right in that sweet spot that we always, right?
Yeah. That's right in that $850 range, $800 range.
I'm sorry. I just had I just had a moment. Yeah. I had a senior moment where I'm like, wait a second. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much potential here, and on the innovation side, on the releases, and I mean, Ryan already hinted to the ability for the Neptune to control radions and AI in the future.
Well, you just said there was Bluetooth in the new Sky, so I haven't actually seen Sky, so I don't know.
There's Bluetooth, yeah.
New radions also have Bluetooth. So
yes.
I see you were going there.
For the current Apex, Ryan's already planning. He's already planning. What's that device that controls the vortex and controls
WXM?
The WXM. Neptune stopped making the WXM.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't Ecotech that made them stop. Sure, It didn't work with the new one, but what about all the people that had Vortex? All Vortex still work on the WXM.
Even the new Vortex that are Mobius friendly, you can downgrade them and use them. Yeah.
And they completely abandoned that product, even though there was still demand for it. Mm-hmm. Those are the kind of things, that now that we have this cooperation, there's incentive to build those products.
Yeah, exactly.
I always thought the Bluetooth function on like the Hydros was so cool. And then I would hear like, yeah, Bluetooth doesn't make sense. And I always thinking like, no, it does. Like,
especially the Bluetooth LE, like it's low power, it's easy to put and stuff.
I remember one day I called Greg all excited. I was like, Greg, like my internet at home went down and I opened my Hydros app and it was like, your Wi-Fi is down. Do you want to use Bluetooth? And I'm like, yeah. And it just detected that my internet was down and it just connected to like and that's the kind of so then to hear, like Neptune say like, man, Bluetooth, like we don't believe in Bluetooth. And people say, oh man, wired, like I believe in wired. I'm like, I haven't had a computer I've been a remote worker now for about 6 years. Like I do not have, well, I don't work for that company anymore, but I always had a demo phone right here that I would pick up, like a Cisco phone that I got years ago that I never plugged in because I realized I don't have, I think the one device in my house that actually uses like Ethernet is my Philips Hue Light controller.
Yeah.
Nothing else is plugged in.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't get, and I work, my wife works from home, VPN, secured files, my kids do schooling, and like no wires. So I don't understand if I can work and game and everything from why people always say like wired is like a requirement for just, my aquarium.
I think it's nice to have the option, but it's nice if you have the option, right? Like if I have a mixing station in another room, I would love not to run a wire to it, right? But if they're side by side and you can run a wire for like redundancy, then why not? But I like to have the option for it, but I agree. Wireless stuff is nice. Like the one thing I like about Mobius and Ecotech is everything just talks to each other and there's no wires. So it's kind of like building a controller without buying a controller because stuff just starts to work together as you add products into the mix, which I think is cool. Now, if this integrated Neptune, everything just kind of wirelessly talk to each other, that'd be pretty sweet too down the road.
Yeah. I'm a fan of convenience. I am a big fan of convenience. I believe that it should degrade gracefully. So, if it can't talk to each other, then it should continue doing what it was doing before, no changes. But, to me now, it's very inconvenient to have to run wires.
Yeah. I want wireless probes. How much cleaner would your sump be if you didn't have this whole nest of all your wires, everything going in there?
Yeah, that's what we're hearing is coming. So
Yeah, I've heard rumors of that too. I'm hoping
But it's
so.
not rumors. Like on the Ecotech experts, they spoke about it years ago. So it's not
It's
the
still a
video
rumor
was on
until I
like,
see a prototype. I mean, there
oh,
probably is one
but
I
they
haven't
spoke
seen.
about it in a public video, like
Yeah.
on the Waterbox YouTube channel, like a while ago. So it's not, at this point, it's not rumor. Like Jake Adams absolutely loves his, what is it, HANA Bluetooth checker, where he goes from 10, like,
Yeah.
so I mean, I would love if that was more affordable, I'd probably get one. But yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah. You know, I always said the reason why Neptune was like, we don't like Wi-Fi, we don't like Bluetooth, was simply because they didn't have it.
Mm-hmm.
It had nothing to do with what was better. I use this comment to several people who always tell me, when they're talking about Bluetooth, versus wired, wired is more reliable and da 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 da. And even someone in the comments said they take reliability over convenience anytime. And I always say, if I said, hey man, here's this 80-inch TV, state of the art, and it's the best TV you'll ever had. You'll never need a new one. It's got more resolution than you'll ever need. Da 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 da. And you get it, and you take it home, and you unplug it, and then you go to get the remote, and you realize it's connected to the TV by a 30-foot wire. All of a sudden, it's no longer the best TV in the world. But hey, you know what? You got reliability on that remote control over convenience.
My cell phone is wireless, and I use it wirelessly every day, and it seems to work.
Yeah, and how many people got rid of their landlines because of cell phones being so good?
Yeah, I don't know. I think having the option for both would be sweet, but if everything works flawlessly without wires, and I don't have all that clutter, and my stand and my sump, everything's not a rat's nest, that's a win.
Yeah, yeah.
Personal preference.
Yeah.
Wireless probes
True.
would be awesome. One thing that I hope would be nice would be more, I guess, come out of this, more compatibility with other brands and other things. Like I know, like even Apex, for instance, back in the day, had it seemed to work with a lot more things. Where now it's more just Apex it works with, right? Like I like the idea when a controller can control anything you throw with it. So like seeing more of that would be nice. Like for instance, like Hydros, for instance, they like the Mastertronic that just works with it. My results come in. I'm like, sweet, I did nothing for that. Like all that kind of stuff would be nice. So I hope there's a lot more like collaboration with all the different brands, which would be sweet.
Yeah, the word open was being thrown around a lot there, and it wasn't really open. Open means different things to different people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Somebody said Telegram makes 3 posts a day about his power bar drop-in connection. It happens, just rather it not happen to me.
So
yeah,
okay.
I also think Telegram has not updated the software, or as far as I can see, he's never contacted support about that. So, I mean, mine used to with version 1 of the software, and I think I upgraded the version, and I think mine's work. So as of right now, I have 3 hydros. I have 4 feeders. I have 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9 power bars. No issues with Wi-Fi.
So I had a few initially, but I also my Asus router, which was a sweet router, but it was like 6-7 years old. I upgraded all my Wi-Fi and network stuff. Haven't had a single issue since. So keep in mind, if you have really old Wi-Fi routers that's not current or up to date, that could also be coming into play with it, right? Because it's the one is your hub of your Wi-Fi. So just with wireless, make sure you're not using crazy old technology. Just food for
I had initial issues with setup with when I was using Google, and it had something to do with because I was using an extender. Once I disconnected the extender and set it up and then connected the extender, it worked. it started working, and I've had added 2 other Hydros units to that, and it hasn't had an issue since. Now, I will say this also about the old software. I learned this. I think what was happening initially with the Hydros is it would send you an alert. With the old version of the software, I think it would send you an alert as soon as it lost connection. When the Apex was waiting up to 20 minutes of trying a bunch of times before you ever got that heartbeat and connect feature. So I think that's one of the things, especially if you're using the old version of the software, like Neptune's, I'm not saying one is more reliable than the other, but the Neptune heartbeat doesn't alert you until it's been offline for 20, 30 minutes. While I think initially the Hydros was
instant.
Because I was helping Paul diagnose an issue with the Apex, and I checked the logs and I realized like how often it drops connections or something. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. That probably happens. Like packets and stuff gets dropped all the time, Dev. Like, it's a normal. But when it's telling you every time something is dropped, I think you get annoyed. But like I said, I think we're on version 9 or something now. But by the second iteration of the software, like I said, I have all these devices, all these wireless devices, and I haven't seen any issues with it recently. So you're on mute, Greg. Still on mute.
Push the microphone button. Got this. Still muted.
Still muted.
Microphone.
There you go.
Okay.
Welcome back.
So I'm having the same kind of issues that you were having, back in the old, when it first started. I think I've gotten a total of 3 messages from my Hydro saying that it was disconnected in the 9 months that I've been using the Hydros, and every time that I got that message, when I went to check, it was on. So it was just sending out the notification that it had dropped, but it was back on, periodically. I mean, I think, I saw this comment, that wires work all the time, unless your Wi-Fi goes down. If your Wi-Fi goes down, your Apex doesn't work either.
Yeah. Or unless you drop one of your Aquabus cables into the salt water. I've learned that also does not play nice with an Apex.
Yeah, it's still not that bad, and we know Telegram has had his share of issues, and until Telegram contacts CoralView and tries to work through those issues, I think they're non-issues. I don't think there's an issue.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this, and I mentioned this earlier. The one thing a lot of times when you can't connect to your controller, it's not your internal Wi-Fi, it's your internet. And that day I was really surprised when it was like, hey, do you want to use Bluetooth? And I was like, yes. So it was my internet was down, not my Wi-Fi. So my devices were still able to, I was still able to turn things on, and I didn't have to find like a local address. I didn't have to do any kind of, networking, which I'm qualified to do, but that was just cool.
Yeah.
I like, This is not a well, it is a wired versus wireless, but like I said, my entire life is lived wirelessly. Like I'm sitting on a desk setup here, Dev, with cameras and microphones, and nothing is plugged in. My wife works from home. We use VPN. We send files back and forth. I use like secured files at work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I use video calls all day, Teams, send files back and forth. It's wireless. So I just, my Aquarium, it could be wireless. Like it's not, it's not like the Aquarium is still going to work whether it can talk to the internet or not.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep. I made that mistake before where I had everything on my controller ramping my pumps up and down. And again, my wife was not a fan when I was on a business trip and she had to, so I have a little bit better now in terms of system design where, if your controller goes down for whatever reason, stuff still works.
Yeah. No, it's good. Good to have backups.
I just hope that, when this new Apex comes out, everybody remembers all the things they said here today.
I will rewatch this, and I will see how right we were with all our speculation.
Because I'm telling you, if it doesn't have Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, I'd be shocked. I'd be really shocked.
Well, if this guy does, I think that's writing on the wall that it would.
Yeah.
Unless that was just for setup, but it would make sense to use it as a future proofing. So.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I love how we're talking about collaboration. Like, look how like the Hydros is just a year plus product. Look how much different,
I
like
give them props for that.
Oh my gosh,
there's been tons of compatibility and tons of investments, which is awesome, which is good because I like friendly competition and I think it helps push everybody to do better, right? So I think it's awesome what they've done with it.
Yeah, look, dosing pumps, like all these other devices and compatibility, and like they did the feeder.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't try to reinvent the wheel. It was just a Eheim feeder that is solid. Yep. It's just Wi-Fi chip in it, just as a Hydros chip in it, and it didn't hide it.
Perfect.
Didn't try to tell you it was this entire thing. It wasn't. It was just, an Eheim feeder with, which I love the Eheim feeder. It's quiet and it works and it's solid.
Yeah.
And it's that. Yeah. So it just works. And
now they got the Komoer for their dosing pump. They had Komoer make them a dosing pump.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, I think it's either the X1 or the X1 Pro.
Yep.
Where they've just put a Hydros chip in it.
So if Neptune doesn't start doing that, or it looks like one company is just working with everybody, and I like it. Yeah. I'm a big fan of that.
Maybe now more companies will work with more people. So
and that will be awesome.
Yeah, 100%.
Awesome.
But I mean, it makes sense, right? Take something that already works, add in that functionality, way cheaper to develop, way quicker to market. So I mean, it makes a lot of sense, right? So
it's just, and the pricing was just a little bit more. It wasn't, it was just a few bucks more than what you got it, a few bucks more, and it works.
Yep. So that's pretty awesome.
Yep.
So good for everybody.
I like it.
You betcha. So I don't know. I think we're gonna see a lot more stuff about this. Who remembers an EcoSmart Live with a USB cable? Oh, I remember that program, the lights. I don't even think there is a USB port anymore on them.
No.
The Gen 4s do, the Gen 5s don't.
It's Bluetooth.
The Gen 4s have a USB port, and all the prior gens did also. But yeah, I don't think the Gen 5 has it at all.
But the cool thing is you would just plug one in, and if you had multiple, they would just talk to each other wirelessly. So you only had to program one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, they all talk to each other. That's true.
Yeah, but if they had wires connected, they would always talk to each other. All the time.
But they talk to each other without wires anyways.
Without wires.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, the Gen 4s.
Oh, man.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, you could program one and the rest would all
I fell for that.
Suit.
I fell for that.
It's 2021,
we've
gotten rid of wires, and we'll continue.
Most companies
I actually still, my lights run on EcoSmart Live.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't switched my lights over. One of them, one of my Gen 4s is older, so it doesn't have the chip. So I'd have to change the chip.
Yeah.
But the all the ones on the big tank, those ones I can switch. I just haven't done it yet.
Ah, nice.
So, but that is one thing though, and I think so. You and I, or Dev and I, we were talking about this. Like, I don't get the obsession with just having everything controlled collectively either, because like the lights, like you're running the lights, Greg, and it's on EcoSmart Live, but how often do you go in and tune your lights? Like you've pretty much set them and they're running the same program from the time you set up the tank.
It's funny because, I take pictures when it's blue, I take pictures when it's white, I take pictures when it's in between, because I am not going to go into that app and change the lights just so I can take pictures. I just won't do it. So, maybe if there's a special occasion, I will, but I rarely open the app, and that's kind of why I don't want to change it over to Mobius. I don't want to have to reprogram them. I mean, I don't know. Will it?
Just import my schedule. You'll be good.
Import my schedule?
My schedule is good. You'll like it.
Oh, your schedule. Okay.
I'm trying to convert everyone over to the ReefDudes schedule.
Gotcha.
Is it branded ReefDudes?
Yeah, actually, it should be available as a template in the Ecotech app, Mobius.
No way.
Yeah, it's coming.
I'm checking
It's coming.
right now.
There's gonna be a
Wow.
ReefDudes schedule as a template.
Oh my gosh, no way.
Yeah,
See,
super
we got to
stoked.
develop a schedule. I got to develop the O schedule where your lights are off all the time.
I don't think they'll get much traction, but good luck. So excited for that. That'll be fun.
All right. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right.
So it'll be good.
All right.
Yeah. No, I know a lot of people. I thought, is Wi-Fi available for everyone on Mobius yet, or are they still rolling it out?
I think Jay said they were working on it, or it's going to be
Okay.
soon. Is the word he said? Soon.
Yeah.
I think they're working on it, and it's going to be soon.
Okay, that's fair. I know they've been slowly rolling it out randomly to people, but I've been beta testing it from like the beginning, like way back when, and it's awesome. I can be out. Not that you should be changing your lights when you're not home and you can't see your tank, but I can.
Yeah. I have 10 devices on Mobius, and I program my lights, I plug my dosing pumps, but it's like I said, whenever I'm programming anything, I'm in front of my tank. I am making like a change and hoping to see the result. So it's not like I'm all the way across the country and I'm messing with my lights or my flow.
The
That's
only
not
thing I
happening.
liked before the days of pandemics, when I actually went to shows, is that I could be like, "Hey, babes, call my wife. Can you feed the tank?" and like kick it off into feed mode. That was like the one benefit of it. That was pretty much the only time I'd use it remotely. Or I guess if you're adjusting like the verse or something to your flow to tweak something. But yeah.
But from what I heard is you can call support at Ecotech, and a lot of times they'll just give you access to the Wi-Fi version.
Nice.
So
Yeah. As of like a month or two ago, I know they were just randomly rolling it out to people. So eventually it's slowly trickling out so they get a ton of support calls about it. So makes sense.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. It there.
Yeah.
But I love seeing stuff continuously improve, which I think is good. And
Yeah,
seeing...
and I don't know if anyone looked at the sky and saw if it had anything more than just a Bluetooth chip.
Mhm.
Did it have a Wi-Fi chip in it too?
It has a Aquabus cord.
I understand that, but it might. For instance, the Gen 4 had Bluetooth and Wi-Fi chips in most of them, but they never activated the Bluetooth.
Yeah.
Until after the Gen 5 came out. So they were preparing beforehand. So that's why I'm asking, did anybody look and see? Maybe it's got a chip that has both.
Interesting.
So,
Could be.
there's a lot of stuff like that goes on where companies are thinking for the future.
Yep.
So we need to pay attention to that stuff. But guys, I gotta run.
All right.
It's basketball game night, so
All right.
I gotta
Thank
take
you.
care of
Sounds
feeding the
good.
fam.
Thanks for joining us.
Take care, guys.
Okay,
All
take
right.
care. All right, let me swap it to. I know you don't have too much longer. Thanks for joining us, Greg.
No problem.
He's trying to figure out how to.
Yep. There you go.
Hey, Greg, can I get a Biz shirt?
No,
Fancy.
Okay.
No?
I'll get you one.
All right. Thank you.
Nice. Oh. All right, so we won't go too much longer because I know you also have other things going on tonight. But yeah, it was a good one. I just saw a bazillion posts about this recently, so I figured it'd be a fun one to dig into.
You and I were talking earlier. We were just doing some research earlier, and just a few posts were like, "Hey, big companies are gonna come in and sort of, destroy." And you and I were just doing some digging, and we were like, "Hey, it's a pretty big company called hang on, let me bring it up here. That Spectrum Brands,
That
is
was
it?
funny, actually. Yeah. So
Spectrum Brands. So it's kind of like two things were kind of molded together. It's about, there's been a lot of talk lately about making reefing more affordable, and a lot of people blended that with big companies coming in, and so we were doing some digging, and like Tetra, marine land, well, glowfish, that's freshwater.
Yep.
But instant ocean that makes the salt and also make the biospire bacteria, and omega-1, which is a lot of fish food that some of us use. Spectrum Brands, which is a pretty big company that does a lot of other, like, listed on the stock exchange. As far as we saw, like, I think their stock price right now is $100.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
billion revenue, $4 billion in revenue last time I saw.
that was the funny thing, because one of the poster that we were joking about earlier, they're arguing that, like, oh, not to, like, the big brands, the little guys, and they're like listing off like Marine Land, like some of the stuff, but they're like all part of like a massive conglomeration. So it's like it's like you're actually going for bigger companies by doing that. But because it is a big thing that supports all for the economy of scale, which helps drive down some of the price on certain things. So, Tracy, thank you so much for the super chat. Much appreciated.
The other one was it was Central Garden and Pet, right? Which is, I guess, another one. And I'm here, and let me click on. Oh man, they do so much stuff. Aquatic and Pet. By the way, if you're into reptile, like, this company does a lot of reptile. So Aquarium, Coralife, and Kent Marine, those are from Central, which again is a huge company. So
it's true, which is huge. So
yeah. By the way, Aquarium.
Yes.
I don't know if you guys don't have Petco in Canada,
no,
but
PetSmart.
If anyone, you have PetSmart?
Yeah.
Huh. We have PetSmart too.
Well, there you go.
Cool. But Petco is making these really cool, like, rimless cubes now.
Ooh.
They do have some nice rimless cubes. So if you're looking for a Nano in, like, anywhere from the $2 to like $10 to $15 range, 15-gallon range, they make rimless. Like, of course, you're not going to get Red Sea level of silicone quality. Like, I admit, not that it's bad, but don't expect, like, but it's a rimless cube that is, comes with a lid also, with the little clips. And the back of it gives you like a 2 or 3. You can have it with like a little cutout where your filter goes. Like, that's a cool, and the price is affordable. It's going to be like $50-$60 for like a Nano. And, so I was in Petco a couple months ago just looking around, and I saw this cool, like, Nano tank. And I was like, wow, Petco makes, they're doing some stuff with all different shapes. They have a tank that literally has like a flat front. So if you're staring at it from like a slightly elevated position. Yes. Yeah. Like, Petco is making those now. So it's, they're trying some cool things with tanks.
That's cool.
Like rimless tanks, you would think you would have to do water box or Red Sea. You can get those from Aquarium, and those are in Petco.
Huh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I know so many people complain about price of things. I mean, so there is tons of cheap options out there, and it's exactly right. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I just thought that was cool. Someone said, doesn't Brightwell own Kent?
I think Jack from Brightwell started Kent or was involved in it or something like that prior to Brightwell. I believe that's what it was. I may be off, but.
Yep. And if you watch Jake Adams' podcast on this, Jake is like, this is not the first time the Reefing has gone through a little of consolidation. And yeah.
Exactly. I mean, it happens all the time. And look at every other industry. It's just like normal day practice. Or cars. You know how many car companies own other car companies? It's crazy. Like, I have a Subaru, and then it's like, Toyota financing for the things. Like, oh, so I'm still owned by Toyota. Like, there's so many things that are just sub-brands of sub-brands. It's crazy.
Yeah, I don't drive.
That's fair. That's because you live in crazy New York.
You're like cool Kelowna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, come visit.
I gotta make it out there one day, man. I gotta make it out there one day, especially in snowboarding season.
It's coming soon. Another month.
When do you think? I know we're going off a little off rails here, but when do you think you're gonna maybe start doing shows again?
Probably next year. Probably next year. I mean, I can travel now, but you have to get a COVID test like 72 hours before and after, and it's like $150-$200. That's an extra $300 or $400 for a trip. Like, it's just, I can, but it's just not cheap, and I don't know. Once, so maybe it's less of a pain.
Maybe wrap Orlando, you're thinking, in April-ish?
Hopefully, yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah. I haven't seen you for a while, man, on the circuit. I think,
No.
when was it? It was in New York when I saw you in New York, right?
Yeah, that was the last time. Way too long.
Yeah, we were supposed to go to that Toronto or that thing in Niagara Falls
I
right
know, and then
before
it got canceled.
COVID.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay, this is an interesting comment. Level of integration in the industry approaches monopoly and compromises accessibility. I don't really agree with that. It also leads to favoritism, possibly, made to get you to purchase more. I mean, they can't. It's up to you what you want to buy, right? If you want something and you think the price is worth it, I mean, that's a personal choice. I don't think anyone makes you purchase anything more. You don't need all this stuff for a tank. You need a box, a pump, and a light. I mean, really, that's the basics. It's all you need. Anything else is nice to have. But I don't think it's really a monopoly because there's still a bazillion other brands, a bazillion other stores. Just because they're like the top couple companies doesn't mean it's a monopoly, right? There's still hundreds of other lighting companies, right? And there's still a bazillion different things out there. So I don't think so. Like Ecotech acquired or sister company to whatever they did with AI years ago. I don't think anything changed there. It just means both companies now have a better support team, right? Because they both have the same support and service, which is an awesome support. So, yeah.
A lot of things also happen at the LFS level, right? Like a lot of things happen at the local fish store level where someone walks in and, they get help, they get a recommendation for a light. And that's not BRS trying to sell someone something, that's someone going to their local fish store. So whether they have a good or bad experience, that's a total different conversation, right? Because I think both you and I have been to, the reason why I go to the fish stores in New York that I do is because I've got good advice from them.
Yeah.
And based on the people who and where they are now in their careers and what they're doing, it's obviously I just chose the right fish store, just happened to walk into the right fish store. But yeah, like a lot of things still happen. I think a lot of things happen at the Petco too, right? Petco, they sell a lot more freshwater fish, but they do sell saltwater fish, right?
Yeah.
You do go in there for fish food, for stuff. So,
emergency water change needs salt.
Yeah.
Let's close it open.
For the last year or so, Dev, like hey, I decided year and a half, I want to do SPS. And I was using Instant Ocean salt because I was doing so many water changes for a bunch of reasons. And I would go to PetSmart, which is close to me, where I can get Instant Ocean. Instant Ocean or Reef Crystals. And I thought to myself, like, I'm probably the only guy who's buying this stuff, because nobody else is buying the stuff.
Tons of people are, buddy.
Yeah, but I went in and bought the 4 boxes. I'm like,
oh, there's some sweet deals in the past. I've seen it go on sale for like $35, like a bucket. I'd be like, grab all the ones on the shelf.
Yeah, I
did. Like, yes to all, stocked up for the next year. Thank you.
Yeah, I did. But so it's next to where I do my shopping at, BJ's Club. But I had to go for something else, and they had like the aqua stick, the putty. I went back the next week. The shelf was fully stocked again. So that let me think. I thought like, hey, I'm buying that. I'm going to come back for the next couple of months and see that shelf empty. But no, went back the next week, fully stocked again.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I just had a thought and say, hey, I'm not the only one buying this salt here. Like, Oh,
yeah. Tons are. Of course they are. I mean, Instant Ocean is probably one of the biggest selling ones, to be honest, right? They're huge. So it definitely is. They're asking about Continuum and Brightwell. Mark was saying Jack Kent owned Continuum. I know they were definitely related.
I think they're sister brands.
I think so.
Brightwell.
I think so. Yeah. I don't know if there is much in like North America, but I think in like Australia and some other places, I think they're more. Although I have seen them at shows before, so maybe they are.
I've seen Continuum at the shows. Yeah.
I just haven't seen them also. Okay.
Oh, in Canada?
Yeah. Maybe it's more in the US. We're always late to the party. Takes a while for stuff to trickle across the imaginary line. So
I don't. Someone said I don't think the industry. It's
not destroying itself. This means growth, right? If an outside non-reefing company is going to invest millions of dollars into an industry, that means the industry is growing, and they see potential in it. Industry growing, hands down, good for everybody. means more hobbyists. You know, if more people are being successful, they're going to stay in the hobby longer, which means more coral for us. For the businesses, it means more people that are going to invest and buy their products. So it's good for everybody, right? You know, if I wish I had more local reefers, so the more the merrier in my mind, because I have more people to trade coral with, more reef buddies to hang out with. I don't know. I think it's a good thing. So
I always get I used to always get the best sales. So in New York, you know, we have that cycle where in the cold winter months when you're inside, and hey, I'm pretty sure it's very similar in Kelowna. Winter months, everyone is inside. Your tanks are awesome because we're paying attention to it. But the summer months, we get like, you know, we tend to want to go outside and enjoy the summer as much as possible. So our tanks get ignored a little bit, and you used to get a lot of good deals. Like August, September, when people start coming back in and their tanks are full of algae, you used to get all these great shutdown deals. I'm not seeing those deals anymore. So that kind of leads me to believe that maybe people are staying in a little bit longer than before. I used to see these tank shutdown deals all the time. And I've spoken to a few local people here in New York, like we have Manhattan Reefs, ManhattanReefs.com, and we've all said, like, you see it, but not as much as before. There's no, hey, pay me a few $100 and just take everything type deals. No. You don't see those anymore.
It's true.
You don't see those as often anymore.
I also think a lot more people are not going out as much, so they're spending more time around and messing with their tank more instead of neglecting it. So I do think that that's probably a chunk of it too.
Yep. And information is out there. Now, having information you trust, that's an entirely different thing, but there is, I'll back up and say, man, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 nano tanks.
Yeah.
And, you know, when we all started, the goal was, I guess the saying was, the bigger the better. Like, don't do nanos, right? Because bigger water volume is more stable. Man, I love the best tanks that are doing, bar the Aptasia that is just staring me in the face right now, but the tanks that are doing best for me are my nano tanks, because, man, water changes is just the best equalizer. If something's going wrong, I mix up a 5-gallon bucket of water, do a 90% water change,
and a nano is easy.
You've just removed 90% of whatever was ailing the tank, right?
In a nano, it's so easy just because you could do that.
Yeah, like I have a lagoon, and I guess with all this, I have a 25 lagoon, and I guess with all the stuff I do to it, it only really holds with the rock and everything and all the crap I have in it. Really only holds about 12 gallons of something. But I know I drain like 2.5 buckets.
Yeah. And
I refill it, and it's good. So
perfect.
Yeah, I love nanos. Like, I really love nanos.
I miss mine a little bit.
Yeah.
One day I'll do one again.
We have such big tanks, though.
That's because I have a 2-tank limit. It's like know your limit and play within it.
Oh.
I know. I agreed to only have 2 tanks with the wife. So that's why I have 2 big tanks.
Sorry. I feel sorry for you. But I have the main display. Then I have a NEM tank set up next to it. Right here for my desk, I have a reef tank, a little nano reef that I am growing mangroves. So I got some mangroves, and they weren't big enough, I think, to plant in my NEM tank. So I decided, hey, let me set up one of those Petco nanos, I think, to grow it.
Yeah.
And that turned into one. And then my kids have their own, like, you know, nano tank. So, yeah.
Nice. I like it. Well, once I have a kid, it'll be a good excuse to start another nano. Dun, dun, dun. One day. I like it.
ATF in the house. There are plenty of examples in other industries that we now pay the price of this behavior. It will shortly become impossible to unwind.
I don't think so. There's always ways to unwind. But
but competition, like, there's other people, waiting to step up. That's the beauty of this, like, Coral View has done a huge job with, like, if you think of it, right? I don't know if you did, but I saw, Apex is the big 800-pound gorilla.
Yep.
And, at first it was the Reef Keeper. And then Vertex basically put themselves out of business trying to build a controller. I had one.
How was it? Not that it matters, but how was it?
The hardware was solid, but
Yeah.
For a bunch of different reasons, I don't know, but GHL hasn't gotten the, people love it for different reasons. So if CoralView were sort of looking at it and said, hey, everyone is becoming big, they wouldn't have, like you think about it, like a couple years ago, like you're thinking like, who on earth would go up against, right?
Mm-hmm.
They've made a controller that I actually like, that, I think is cool and is doing some things that are different. So they've looked at it and was like, hey, let's make something that consumers will love that's cool. And I think they've done a pretty good job at it.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
forcing, because remember, like we had Neptune saying all these things like about wired and about Bluetooth. And now guess what happened? Their new lights have Bluetooth. So this is one example of just like a company coming in and doing some really cool things and are forcing like, the 800-pound gorilla to react. So, like, yeah.
It's good.
I like it, man. I like this. I like
competition. It makes better products for everybody.
You guys were talking about the sales. Like, sign me up.
Yeah.
Sign me up for more sales, Black Friday deals,
Black
and
Friday's
everyone
coming.
giving sales. Yeah. Like this is cool. Like modules. Like I don't have to buy. Like they're giving you something different. That if the next Apex does something, you're gonna be like, huh? If it doesn't do certain things.
It's like, what do you mean it doesn't have that?
Yeah. What do you think you have modules? Like, you mean you can't just plug like things right into it? Like, yeah, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we used to like sales, like more sales, like stuff going on sale,
Hey, Black Friday is coming, right? Soon. Are you getting anything fun?
This setup that I have here, I kind of wish I had gone with the A500.
Yeah.
Yes,
buy one
put it a little
and upgrade
higher
it?
because I now have a blue carpet NIM that I think needs more light. So yes, that's one thing. I think I got 3 Radeons on this tank, so I don't think I need any light here.
You're good.
No, Dev, I don't think I need anything.
I didn't show you my upgraded lights yet.
We don't have this we have this conversation about no one needing anything, right?
Nobody needs anything, but we want things because
I just got a Nano skimmer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So before I had Royal exclusive, I didn't need a skimmer, but
Question: I've never used Royal Exclusive. How does the NAS compare to it?
The fit and finish of a Royal exclusive, like there's no comparison with the fit and finish. Like there's just little things like the way the cup sits, the fact that you can take out the middle. I think the Red Dragon pump is superior. Mm-hmm. Like I think the fit and finish.
Okay.
For my application, I get a little bit more space by going to the Nios. Mm-hmm. The Red Dragon was a much bigger pump and pulled in more air from outside. I like the fact that so my Royal exclusive was a UK pump, and I was using it on a.
Oh, you're using a power converter?
Yeah, and frankly, man, Royal exclusive support sometimes in the US, like, not. But if you're in the US, if you're in the UK, man, like our friends get like first class. You pay so much money, you get first class support. It's like going to a Mercedes dealership, the way they take care of you. But I do like the fit and finish of a Royal exclusive. The one thing I'm struggling with the Nios is the cup is so small.
Would you get the 120?
160.
Oh, 160 is a decent size. That's what I got in the tank.
But the Royal exclusive cup was gigantic. I've had the Red Sea skimmer. That cup was gigantic. I've had the Vertex skimmers. The cups were gigantic compared to the. But I'm guessing you're supposed to tune the Nios to a more of a drier skim.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's, I don't know. I just think the one thing that annoys me is just the cup is too small.
Yeah.
It doesn't pull enough air, but I kind of knew that. Just, Royal exclusive was a big, gigantic thing with a very loud pump. So, we'll always find place for new gear.
Oh, exactly. I mean, if there's any sweet sales, I mean, Possible. I'm gonna save my BRS points for months waiting for Black Friday, so we'll find out.
I do want a calcium reactor though. Like
Mm.
I'm using I have the Vertex one now,
Yeah.
but I do like the Reef Octopus calcium reactor. So I think that is definitely on my radar.
Nice.
I've got to hook this up. So I'm just trying the hydros and like different things. So when I got this, I was like, when I got this Control 3-pack, I was like, man, you can actually use this as a calcium reactor controller separate. I don't have to hook it up to the main system. So that's kind of, yeah. There's always stuff to buy, stuff to get, stuff to do.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, quick question from the chat. How do I get dryer skim versus wet skim? Most skimmers have like a tube you can adjust to control how much water leaves the skimmer. The more you open it, the lower the bubble tower is going to be in the neck. And the lower it is in the neck, the harder it has to work to get to the cup, which turns into dryer skimmate. So as you're adjusting your tube for the output, the higher it is in the neck, the wetter it's going to be. The lower it is, the drier it's going to be. Quick and easy.
All right. Yep. I'm just want to see how many devices I got. How is your Alcatronic?
Awesome. Love it.
Okay.
I have the Alcatronic and Dostronic on both my tanks. Absolutely love them.
You have two Alcatronics.
Yeah. I ended up getting a used one ages ago. Just because I don't have to test it anymore. It's brilliant.
Ah.
I know.
Okay, so I'm running my Alcatronic. Absolutely love it. I got like just a bunch of. It's amazing how I started out with just a couple of Hydros devices, and now it's gotten like
out of control.
This is on one tank. Like, look how many Wi-Fi devices I have connected to one tank.
Nice.
But what I like is I don't feel the need to combine everything into like one controller. Like I'm running separate controllers that I select for different tanks. So I don't feel the need to like connect them together.
Oh, that's fair. Nice.
Yeah, they just run separately. But yeah, I'm loving. So you're running Aquatronic, Sotronic. Interesting.
So good. So if I come into it, it tests everything. It's great. I don't know if that's showing up or not. It looks
it is. I'm seeing it.
Okay.
Well, I'm seeing it.
But yeah, it's so nice because everything's automated. I get my weekly baseline test of everything, and then nitrates, phosphates I have it test twice a week. But super easy. Love it.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, there.
My kids have started to fight.
That happens. Does your Alcatronic show a lower pH? Okay, so the thing is, when it tests, that's the pH. I'd have to check at the same time. The pH that it reports is at the time of the last test. So you'd have to look at the test time and then compare your tank time and see where it's at. I think there was a slight deviation. It wasn't huge, but it was a little bit different.
Yeah. I don't really worry about that. Yeah.
Even a lot of the stuff, like I don't even necessarily care with the numbers a lot of the time. I care about the trend. Is my elk going up? Is it going down? Is it stable? Right? The same with most of these things. So if it's a little tiny bit off, I don't worry about it. But a couple times I've had it like dead on perfect, and a couple of times I noticed it was a little bit off, but not enough to really worry about it.
You're talking about your alkalinity or your pH?
The pH, well, everything, but the pH in the Alcatronic compared to like my pH probe in the tank.
Oh yeah, I don't really worry about it. Yeah, I just worry about the trends. I'm not worried about accuracy. Even with my like Alcatronic compared to my, like Hana Checker, I just care. Like it's always 0.6 or 0.5 off, and to me that,
the big thing is it stable, right? Is your elk spiking? Is it going down, or is it stable? And if it's stable, happy.
I'm happy.
Exactly.
I'm happy.
Exactly. All right, buddy. I know you're almost at your cutoff time too, so I think we'll wrap it up pretty quick here. But appreciate you coming on today. It's been a good one.
Thanks for Greg for joining too.
Yep.
Always fun discussion.
Yeah, thank you, Greg, if you're still listening. Shout out Brian and Tracy. Thank you guys very much for the super chat. Much appreciated. What's going on, Woody? So I don't know. I think there's going to be a lot of cool stuff coming, and everyone's always like, "Oh no, big monopolies." But I think it just means more collaboration, and I think there's going to be more resources to expand product lines, research and development, and do a lot of cool things. So I think there's good stuff coming. And
also a lot of stuff coming from the companies who are like forced to adapt and forced to be more creative, like good stuff coming from them, like, so expecting big things from the industry as a whole too.
Yep, I think so. And at the end of the day, I mean, if everyone being successful is great for the hobby, it's great for people trading corals. John Vermont, holy crap, thank you very much for the super chat. Thank you so much. But I think it's good for basically everybody. And, the more people that are successful is better for the industry. They're obviously going to sell more products. Better for us because we have more reef buddies to trade coral with. I think it's good across the board. So I think it's good. That's my overall take on it. So I'm excited to see what comes.
I just had a thought. Maybe you've had a stream about this before, but I would like to see what's coming on the coral side. I think this has been discussed at length, but hey, there's, like people say there's consolidation on the equipment side, but what's happening on the coral side?
Could be a good one.
Yeah. What's happening on the coral side? Like we've discussed prices, we've discussed a lot of things, but I think we want to see a discussion on like, where is it going? Like, what about all the new people that came in? What's happening? Is it growing? Like, I want to see that. Yeah.
I think I might lure Chris from ACI on. He hasn't been on in ages. He'll be a good one since he imports and sells and does stuff to stores.
Yeah, like Reefapalooza, like a lot of people sold out at RAP, like a lot of new reefers there, a lot of people talking. So I go into the LFS, I hang out in the LFS, like people, a lot of newbies asking questions. So I'm excited for what's coming next. I really am. Excited for I don't know what's coming next, but I'm excited. I'm excited to see.
And one other thing to consider, this is a big underlying thing that I think people should consider. If with it getting more and more places, it's harder to import corals and stuff to an extent, right? So all the corals eventually, at some point in time, is eventually going to be all aquacultured and stuff from people's tanks and farms. So the more people in the hobby, the more successful, the more we're going to have thriving corals to choose from and do long term. So it's win-win for everyone long term, I think.
Yeah. We're getting better. One of the things that Jake and his podcast have been saying recently is like he's been talking about a lot of old stuff. And as I've been researching and reading some of that stuff, I realized like there's been things where, now we're breeding yellow tangs, like that's awesome. Like I remember when you couldn't keep SPS in tanks. So I'm just excited for like what's next? Like maybe there's some coral, we're getting better at keeping SPS, coloring them up all the time. Yeah. I know I am. I know the people around me are getting better and better and better. Now you see full-blown SPS nano tanks.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay.
I mean, like, what?
Well, here's another consideration. Like, I know Jamie Craig's, like, he won Aquarius of the Year and all that stuff. And I know one of the things that he was doing was coral spawning. And I saw a big thing with him because I know Ecotech sponsors them in a lot of their research. So being able to spawn corals in captivity might be another crazy way of aquaculturing in the future, right? So there might be, I don't know, there's lots of cool stuff that's coming, I think. So more resources, the better, in my opinion.
You just had me think about something like, hey, maybe there is now Ryan's always talking about, like, on his live streams, having industry association representation. It doesn't affect me directly, so I never pay attention. I'm assuming he's talking to vendors, but maybe with resources, that's something that can,
I think so.
Yeah.
That's why, I don't know. I think there's a lot of good potential that can come out of a big influx of cash into the industry, so.
All right.
We're good.
I'm excited. I'm even more excited now, man. Hype me up.
Happy to inspire.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, buddy.
You.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.
John Vermont. Dang, thank you very much. Brian, Tracy, thank you guys so much for the super chats. Thank you for coming on today. Though, people asking about your YouTube channel. You're slacking. I don't think you've done videos in ages, but you do Instagram once in a while. Look up Reefing with O. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you did, hit that like button. If you're new, subscribe, and